In the lead up to game number 1, SinoDragons were asked what they'd like to say to EDG, and what they answered was, "Welcome to the LDL." And with that same attitude, they were able to take down game number 1 versus Edward Gaming. Raz, that was one hell of a game.
What kind of disrespect just bringing that up right now? Just right now, it's like after your game, it's like, oh, you back now? You're just going right back to your makers. It's unfortunate for EDG. For SinoDragons, I think one of the best things we got to see is that that raw confidence. Not only did they pick a heavy early game composition, but they played to the top lane. They said that Changhong didn't do it because he can't play carries. He didn't go towards the Sion play, like that tank play, the Maokai. I was like, wait a minute. You're going back to Maokai now? No. They literally went towards carries because it said, okay, it works well within our playstyle right now, especially recognizing that they can try and take down Ray, who's been playing carries so consistently. It's almost as though they just recognize that it's going to happen. Like, go blue side, try and play like the Lissandra Cassiopeia swap. And I think if you're now EDG, you've recognized that. You can make changes to the draft, you can make changes to the roster. What you really need to do is actually now alert yourself. The early game is something that SinoDragons want to strike at as hard as possible. And Ray has to be ready because that early dive that we saw, the level 1s, they had no answer there.
Yeah, and all of that was off the back of Xiaopeng. That early game was something. Look, we know this guy is an amazing early game jungler, but it's rare that he's been able to transfer it so effectively to his teammates, so effectively bringing it into a strong early game for the whole team.
Yeah, so, remember, not only was he able to secure the first kill on the top lane, he doubled down saying, okay, I'm going Warriors, Black Cleaver, all that good stuff. And even though he almost got picked off by Scout really early on in the whole package parade, he got bounced around. I think the greatest thing about it is when players like Xiaopeng or even Changhong find themselves in danger, SinoDragons were already prepared for that. They've already were in the strong side of the map, always there to be able to bounce EDG back. So what I really want to see is if there's any harder engage or if there are less disengage elements from these compositions, because from the side of SinoDragons, I actually don't know how EDG were ever going to fight into that. They didn't have a tank, as we were mentioning, and they also just didn't have the ability to go in towards the Cassiopeia. I wonder if the Cassiopeia immediately get banned, because going into this draft, I said that was Twila's best champion. So for certain, almost certain, if they go back into that draft, they can just say, okay, well, the Lissandra's going top lane if you pick up an Urgot in that instance, and we're going to pick the Cassio open to the mid lane, and we're just going to play through Cassio. I think that we've seen now this level of flexibility that SinoDragons are coming into a best of 5 with.
Yeah, and Xiaopeng, I think, inarguably earning that MVP performance, but we put a lot of weight onto bringing in Haro and how his playstyle would work well into Xiaopeng. That didn't end up materializing, we'll say, in game number 1. So as a result, EDG have subbed him out and they've brought Clear Love back. How do you think this is going to fare? Is it going to be significantly better than Haro was?
I think so. Remember, coming into this series, I already stated that I think Clear Love was better. And not only, I think that coming Clear Love, getting subbed out, Haro coming into this series, it was because of the stronger carry champion pool that Haro had here. And perhaps there was a lot of uncertainty going into what Haro had been practicing, that once again we saw that SinoDragons already had something cooking. Perhaps EDG did have something, and I think there wasn't anything of surprise there for Haro. In fact, a lot of it was just there were mistakes coming through when they were playing through the 2v3 in the mid lane. So I think Clear Love will come in and showcase a lot of leadership. There will be a lot better plays to help out Ray that we started to see at the end of the week, except for EDG.
Other than bringing in safety, I feel like EDG need to find a way to power through in this next game in a way they didn't in game number 1. Because my biggest problem with EDG in game number 1 was that they didn't end up getting a whole lot done. Yes, Ray was super down in CS, but at the same time, EDG weren't really able to make decisive enough plays to get a whole lot going. For example, the Rift Herald, that was tossed around the map repeatedly. I think that was attempted to be taken no less than 6 times.
I don't blame EDG for that, because they weren't in a position to actually pick it up. I blame more SinoDragons. Even though they're the team that ended up winning that, remember, SinoDragons were in a position where Cassiopeia was coming in to actually help and aid them, but EDG had actually stalled that out for so long by even having the bottom lane pushed out, Ray even looking to circle around, go mid. So I think EDG actually played as well as they could while they were behind. The only problem is that they were behind the entire game. Like, that was the major issue. So I think draft is number one going to be something they focus on, so they have more winning lanes, so it's not just bottom lane. And on top of that, they have a better protection for the top lane matchup, because even though I think Haro played well to be able to cut through mid lane and help out so he doesn't get dove again when he teleport right back, but the damage has already been done in an already poor matchup. So SinoDragon's first 5 minutes was devastating. I expect them to come right back out. Hopefully they don't have another strategy here for the first 5 minutes for EDG. EDG is just trying to huff and puff. They're trying to get something done this series.
Well, that was actually my question to you, Raz, that I was going to pose, is SinoDragon won that a lot off that bait and switch in the end of the draft phase. If they don't have something like that prepared, do you still feel as confident for them coming into this next game? Because that was so good.
Yeah, no, but I think the whole drafting helped them, but it didn't give them a win. Like, if you saw that series, that was just SinoDragons being as confident as they can whenever they had push. So I think that their play is giving them the victories. I think that especially being able to clean it up so quickly when they saw the Corki end up picking up that top lane wave and GALA just went right in. That really exemplifies the strength and confidence that this team has. And you're already looking towards EDG. Yeah, you got to go, my friends. You got to go your PC. You have no more time to talk. You got to be confident in your players. You can't give in that extra. Wait, one more second, guys. No, I got to tell you right now. If the Corki's being picked up, go for the Lissandra. No, this already should have been talked about in the last 7 minutes. So you're already seeing that EDG getting swiftly kicked in the side of the head. They're not confident immediately coming into the draft here.
Yeah, they definitely weren't prepared, and this is one of the things that I think should come with experience, is a little bit of that confidence, right? But SinoDragons, ironically, are showing more of the confidence of the two teams, which is so surprising. Yes, they had an undefeated run, but these players on EDG, none of them have been here any later than December of 2017. That's a long time to have developed that confidence, to develop that strength in these longer series, and all of them have been through best of fives. So one would think they would have the more confidence of the two.
I mean, it really just comes down to the essentials being all handled there from SinoDragons. I want to give a shout out to Mark in particular, because whenever they went towards Baron buff, they had always positioned themselves to turn. That was always going to be the factor. So if there was ever a position where EDG were just going to dive straight through, Mark had, of course, even if he didn't have his summoner flash up, he was always going to try and go in for a fight, and that meant that EDG really had to respect them. So ClearLove coming back in, this is going to be crucial for EDG, because now your jungle coming into the map, someone that they are far more comfortable playing with this split. I expect this to be a massive boost up in how they're playing towards mid and top lane, because EDG, that's been their bread and butter playing through their mid lane in particular, and they just got slaughtered on that one. I think Xiaopeng, not only did he have that game-winning Baron steal that you want to at least throw in there, but I think that he's been playing majority a very smart game.
ClearLove definitely has significantly more experience. You know, he's been around since 2013. The man was on so many famous rosters, and Changhong and Xiaopeng, you're going to see their stats from last game at 15 minutes, and
that's a lot of gold.
Yeah, that's money in their pockets, man.
Yeah, gold, experience, like just a lot that you were able to get just based off of the Olaf and Cassiopeia top lane. Now, that's not a strategy that'll work again. The Olaf is, sure, easy, I think. That's going to be fine, especially with ClearLove and Haro going towards Jarvan pretty consistently. And the only thing that'll change now is, Cassiopeia is a fine counter pick. And if you can really nail down what the top lane for EDG is going to play, then sure, you can continue to go to that. But the same weaknesses are still there. The level 1 was necessary because you needed to be able to support the top lane. If SinoDragons can't secure the vertical jungling topside, then Changhong is under threat, and that's where I think that you're going to be seeing different champions come through.
I do want to see different champions, but at the same time, there's a little thing about the combo of the composition they had that I do want to point out one more time.
Give it to me.
Because you reminded me of it. That Galio-Cassiopeia combo was so surprisingly strong for me. Like you said, for every objective take, they were positioned around the turnaround. They were positioning to fight away from it. And the combo where we saw Mark sitting here and a Miasma was right here. It's like, all right, come at us. You don't want to fight? You don't want to come in, get your movement abilities disabled, and then go in right into a taunt? I wonder why.
Yeah, so what could the Corki and Lucian do? Because they had to have double cleanse for a reason. There was always a possibility where the taunt or even the Cassiopeia ultimate was going to nail them. So I think coming into this game, iBoy's like, how could I actually get some opening in these team fights? Legitimate question. I think the Kog'Maw is a possibility, but even thinking about how these fights end up going, it needs to start in the top lane. And I think perhaps the Cassiopeia ban is something you need to start with, not just for Changhong, but it's going to be a pick for Twila as well. If you get the Cassiopeia off, then you get the Miasma off. It's far easier for you to find reasonable engages. That's what EDG needs.
It's worth noting that EDG's bans last game were all focused towards that jungle there. They were all focused on Xiaopeng. If instead you have to dedicate one to the Cassiopeia, which they have not done, instead focusing it on the Galio, I agree with that one. I mean, Mark, 81.8% win rate over 11 games. That's something worth banning, but now you give over the potential of things like the Kindred for SinoDragons that was denied last game.
I'm surprised that even with the Galio ban coming out immediately, that was the first banned Galio from EDG, that SinoDragons were not willing to go towards the Sylas as a first pick. So Jace is a great pick for Twila. He's actually excelled on it in his previous series. But once again, Changhong can play that. So it seems like it's going to be the flex between mid and top lane that are going to dominate the focus here for SinoDragons.
Now, Edward Gaming have picked up the Aurelia there, likely going over to Ray, but still has that flex potential, and the Alistar in the bottom lane for Meiko, one of his best champions.
I want to see what we get here out of iBoy. I think he's going to hold on to his AD carry. Now, the risk of holding onto it for second phase is that you start losing the essentials like the Vayne. Now, oh my goodness, just lock it in right there, Twila. Lock it in for Mark. That's the lovers duo for the bottom side of the map. The buff in 9.6 really helped out Xayah if she's able to max out her W. She gets a plus 20% attack speed off of it in team fights. So just so much protection now that you have the Recon, and so much mid and early game damage there from the champion.
And EDG securing that Vayne pickup. We talked about the potential. If you don't take your AD carry pick now, it can be threatened, it can be banned away from you. So Edward Gaming securing the Vayne there for iBoy, but they're going to be going up against that Xayah Rakan.
Yeah, it's a very foreign position for EDG. EDG's been a team that has allowed iBoy and Meiko to thrive off of winning lane matchups. So if iBoy and Meiko can't push out the lane, can't focus on like good trades here and there, and have Clearlove just hover over the lane to support them, suddenly this is going to be a performance where EDG is going to be focusing on the mid lane and top lane. I think the Aurelia is going to go mid lane. So I think that Scout and Clearlove are going to be working together to get priority, go for skirmishes. This is something that I want to see.
What kind of mid lane pick are you looking for then for Edward Gaming? If you want that mid lane focus,
Aurelia, I mean, I think the Aurelia was the hover that I wanted to be able to see from him. So Aurelia is already hover. I think that we're going to be seeing another, a different top lane there for Ray. So you're right, there's a possibility where the Aurelia can go top lane, but recognizing that it's going to be going up against a Jace, then it's not necessarily bad, but it needs heavy jungle influence from Clearlove.
And speaking of jungle influence, SinoDragon have banned away two of those influential picks. The Skarner and the Sejuani denied away from Clearlove. Good picks for him where he doesn't necessarily have to go very mechanically crazy. It's just like, all right, I hit R, boys, do your thing.
There we go. And I mean, like, just seeing the Sejuani and Aurelia combination, if you've seen it out there, or even Yasuo coming in there, just helping out the passive procs from Sejuani, it's actually just so hard to deal with in a straight 2v2. So SinoDragons just don't want to deal with it, and they know they're going up against the pig farmer himself.
Going to be the Akali picked up there for EDG as well. Another carry pick. Likely going to be going over to Ray. Oh, that's what I like to see. Come on, Xiaopeng. Give it to us. The Nidalee being locked in for him.
Look, it just has a lot of carry potential there. It has a poke alongside the Jace, and you're seeing the Silent get locked in. If you're going to be locking in the carry jungler of Nidalee, then you need a brute force top lane, and the wall of Changhong is going to give it to you.
This is one of the best compositions you could give over to SinoDragons ever. Because Xiaopeng is basically our only Nidalee player here in the LPL that we've seen so far this split. He's played 4 out of the 5 games. Yeah, 50% win rate, but in the ones he's won, he's been absolutely dominant. And he has the highest damage percentage and highest damage per minute of any jungler in the league. So if you're going to trust it to anyone, it's going to be Xiaopeng.
It really is just SinoDragons going back to the bread and butter that's given them the wins that they've had in the regular season. Like Xiaopeng is one of the rare carry junglers here that's able to just, you know, do his thing. And a lot of it comes on to the fact that they have a reliable engage point on the top side of the map. Changhong, when he picks up the Scion, and Mark, of course, having the Rakan here, means that they don't lack any CC. If they see a fight, they'll go for it as well. So, like, SinoDragons are so supported around the fact that they can start these fights. So you can see the Jace, Nidalee, Xayah being able to run roughshod. Great team fights with the Xayah, and just great poke and siege that you have with the Nidalee and Jace.
Let's look what EDG answered with, though, because they did pick up, finally, as that last pick, the Gragas for ClearLove, and the Akali is going to be that carry potential pick as well. How do you feel about this composition going into what SinoDragons have secured for themselves? A
lot of disruption is what I see here. The Akali, Gragas, and Aurelia means that they can actually look for deep fights, I'd say nice engages, look for deep pick onto backline if a siege ever forms up. So I am afraid of SinoDragons if they are looking for a siege, because EDG has built their composition to be able to deal with that. So we'll have to see what ends up happening. I love Ray's Akali. I think his Akali is exceptional, be able to, you know, dip and dive in skirmishes. We also saw a nice example of that earlier on in the season, so we'll just get right to it. He has a pretty good lane matchup going up against Changhong. A lot of base damage that Changhong can dish out, but that just means that Ray can heal up, be able to farm up to his Gunblade, and he'll be able to be a crucial asset in team fights.
A lot of pressure going to be going on to Ray in this top lane. He needs to be able to bring the carry we know him for. 17 solo kills, #2. That doesn't come out of nowhere. We're going to see if he can demonstrate that and bring his team to a win in game #2 with SinoDragons versus Edward Gaming.
SDG! SDG! SDG!
Xiaopeng getting spotted out there a little bit on the invade, but he will get the vision down there in the red buff. And I gotta say, EDG having 2 people calling their name, it's pretty good synergy there.
2v1, gotta love it.
Looking for the man advantage even before the game starts, but Xiaopeng will now have vision, know exactly where ClearLove is starting on this Nidalee pickup. He's going to be going for the electrocute there as well. Tons of burst damage.
This is classic Nidalee, man. This is what's going to be rough. So it's going to be important for Scout to find some time to be able to push out the lane, because how Xiaopeng's going to be able to play this, get his red buff, look for an early scuttle. I think he's going to go topside scuttle, and then look for a deep invade, and that's a try. That's going to be a triple buff against ClearLove. ClearLove recognizes that. I wonder how he's going to deal with that. He really needs the lanes to help him out there, but you can already see that Scout and Ray are going to be pushed out. So I think Xiaopeng has a very early clear that's going to help him out. We'll have to see how ClearLove can handle that.
Well, I mean, he is the early game jungler. It's what we know Xiaopeng for doing best, alongside having that pocket pick Nidalee. So a little bit of an engage here in the bottom lane. No one's going to die from it, not take too much damage, but EDG on the worst end of the trade.
Okay, so far I'm liking what Xiaopeng is doing. So Raptors to red buff. If he ends at Krugs and goes topside, that's just full experience. He's trying to get an experience lead over ClearLove and just using the early ward to see if he's going to be topside super early on. That's just smart. Now we have to see where he ends up going, because he has so much room to work with even in the bottom lane. So once again, early pushing lanes from SinoDragons are helping them a lot.
He will be looking towards the scuttle as the first pickup here. We'll give him a lot of vision down to keep safety for his bottom lane as ClearLove goes towards his topside jungle, making sure he doesn't get triple buffed as best he can. And Twila is doing a great job, as is Changhong, of keeping Ray and Scout down in this early game.
Well, Twila is just burning through his mana. Now, thankfully, in Hammer stance, he's going to be able to recoup some of that back, but he's doing it so he can allow Xiaopeng to do just this. So this was the strategy that he was looking for from right from the beginning. Have his lanes push out, immediately removing Scout, and take a look at this.
Oh man, there's the Q, it lands, that's the electrocute, so much damage put onto ClearLove already. The red buff still ticking for Xiaopeng, forces the flash, won't get the kill Raz, but should be able to secure the red buff for himself.
Goodbye, Gragas. Like, that's rough. That's what he was expecting very softly, but the moment, you know, he felt like he was alright. He was taking the safe path too, and Xiaopeng even recognized that, catching him out as he was getting the blast cone ready. So that was wonderful from Xiaopeng. Got the most amount he can get from the bottom side of the map. So a great amount of experience, not even taking the Krugs, because that would take him on the Rum part. But now he's robbing Gragas from his own Krugs.
Going to be able to pick that up, at least the big one. Will get spotted by this ward, but Xiaopeng, 2 games in a row, is taking down EDG's jungler in the early game. The question is going to be how well he's able to take this forward, how well he's able to spread it to the rest of the map.
This is really risky here from ClearLove. If you see right now, he's going straight towards the enemy Krugs. Doing this red side into the enemy blue side jungle is red side jungle is very risky, especially that GALA and Mark have that much pressure in lane. You can already see them placing wards in the bush that's leading towards Krugs. So ClearLove can't pick this one up or he gets challenged.
He's going to be spotted out by the ward just
Don't
now.
do it, Clear Love.
Clear Love, no! You should know better.
Even if this wasn't warded, this was essentially like the game plan. Now let's see what ends up happening for EDG to... Oh, they know this is happening. So, like, the observer's not showing you this, but GALA and Mark leaving the lane to tend to this already gives them enough information. Clear Love knows that this is being seen and caught out, so he's trying to at least wrestle for some of the experience around Raptors.
That damage there from Xiaopeng is going to force Clear Love off. He takes a full combo again. This time he is surely dead. Xiaopeng has not backed yet, but with this, should get a ton of experience, still has his blue buff available.
So this is what nightmares look like. Because Clear Love can get done with his Gromp. If he moves up for his Raptors, that's going to get challenged too. Xiaopeng is on that side of the map. He should be in position to deal with that. So EDG right now are dealing with a jungler that's super far off behind. Xiaopeng, I think, should be able to take level 5 off this one, while Clear Love is still struggling to get to level 4.
I'd also like to point out, I mean, look at that. The next dragon, first dragon of the game, actually, is going to be the Infernal. This is so good if SDG is able to get the explosive and powerful early game they did last.
But I do not think Xiaopeng should change his route because the Infernal Dragon is there. EDG will not change any decision-making they have. You're in a great position to challenge for Raptors here. Now, you can already see Xiaopeng's actually just going to base right here because he has a lot of gold to work with, and Clear Love has already started on it, so it's not like he's going to be here in time. So recognizing that Clear Love has been tracked for the first 6 minutes of the game, EDG is getting really pushed around.
SinoDragon is just getting to have fun with their lanes. Taking a lot of damage in the top lane is Changhong. He needs to be careful. Ray, the solo kill king up here in the top lane, has the kill pressure at the moment, level 6. But Xiaopeng going back to the jungle, going to farm it up a little bit more. Not level 6 himself yet, but he is having a monstrous early game so far.
I mean, that's just the typical, you remove experience from the jungle, and now junglers are just going to fall that far behind from solo lanes. That's just my rant there. But he's super far ahead of Clear Love. So the point about hitting 5 when Clear Love was just getting to level 4, that's just a reality. Xiaopeng is so far ahead of Clear Love, especially in just raw damage. I don't know about that one, Clear Love.
Going to force the Infernal Dragon to do his dirty work. Xiaopeng spotting that one out. They will lose the control ward for it, but get a little bit of poke, and Xiaopeng will be able to take away the control ward from the mid lane, so trading it back in gold.
And this is what it means. This side of the river is now owned by Xiaopeng. He can now make that, turn it into an advantage that, I mean, Twila already had in the CS margins, but now just make it so Scout can never challenge him. So now that Twila has that for himself, he's going to be able to now move his wards towards the bot side of the map. Infernal Dragon's a possibility, but this fight's looking good too.
Meiko goes in for the engage. Mark follows up with an engage of his own, and Meiko doesn't have ultimate at the moment. Xiaopeng one-shots the minion with his Q, so doesn't get the additional leap distance. It's unfortunate when you're so leveled up that you can't make the gank.
Yeah, it's a little sad. But Meiko here is going to have a lot of HP to work with. He should be able to heal out pretty easily, not only just because of the Targons, but he's just an Alistar, so that's just in your passive, Triumphant Roar. Mark's going to struggle a little bit. So all in all, SinoDragons on the bottom side need to just back. And once they get a good back timing off, then you can take advantage of the advantage that you have in the bottom side of the map and look for an Infernal. It'll take some time there, but it was good from EDG to start mucking that up.
EDG have a ton of sustain in that bottom lane already. You pointed out the Alistar with the Targons, but also iBoy has the Vamp Scepter already. And Xiaopeng, he knows his bottom lane needs to back soon and find a good timing for it, and he wants to force that with a gank.
All summoners are up from EDG's bottom lane. So this would really, realistically just mean that Alistar has to burn Flash, go back to base, which would set up a good dragon fight, but that's a lot of investment of your own time to be bottom lane when Gragas is farming up himself.
Got to keep the pressure up onto Clear Love. Can't let him get back onto the map. But at the very least, Xiaopeng will hand the heal over to Mark and give him a little bit more sustain so that they can stay in the lane and find that back timing they've been looking for. Now Clear Love rotating down towards the bottom side of the map. Pings are going down onto the Infernal, but instead he's looking for the gank. This
is just a smart call from Clear Love to play to his bottom side anyways. If you're just this far behind, then it's always good to be able to at least cling to your strongest part of the map. And it's been the case. This is a huge wave too, so it's a possibility where it can turn into a dive. You can already see Nidalee now coming right forward.
Everyone is level 6 in this engage, including Clear Love. He's caught up at least in levels. And Xiaopeng having to waste a little bit more time keeping his bottom lane safe means that other than the gold, seems like the lead has been evaporated a little bit.
Just a tiny bit. but I think now a lot more focus is going to be coming through to Twila. Twila being able to get his, lethality here. It seems like a little bit of a skirmish, but you can already tell Scout's just going to be respecting him. This is where the focus should be now from now on from Xiaopeng and Twila. Start chipping at the turret in the mid lane, so not only will it be turret plating, but allows you position to move towards side lanes. Right now they should be helping top lane out. Changhong is super tanky at this stage, so that just means that you can actually go top lane and have that dive be supported by the Scion.
Gonna be honest, Raz, I'm not quite sure I understand Changhong's Scion builds, but damn do I respect them. Going for all defensive items, keeping him pretty chunked up here against Ray. But Ray may be able to go for the engage. Has the ultimate available, but he's not gonna go for it. Now Changhong should be able to make it back to base as Xiaopeng. Wow, nice. Blind Spear picks up the scuttle.
Yeah, we'll take it. Ooh, this is really, this is pretty nice because there are double control wards from EDG side that's catching this out. They had pretty good intel that Xiaopeng's on the top side, so this is just a raw trade from EDG. And from having struggled in, nah, it's gonna be fine. But having struggled early on, this is actually gonna be a nice buff. And now the next one being a Mountain Dragon means that EDG can start playing towards the bottom side a little bit more heavily, and Vayne's starting to come online. That's actually a really good saving grace for EDG.
Should be the pickup.
Oh,
here.
hey.
Oh, no.
Oh, he's low. Oh, no. Help him.
Perfect execution. Xiaopeng has to use the smite. Who's he going to go over to? Woo! Oh, my God. Ray steals the Herald, picks it up, and he's going to get out. Clearlove coming in for the engage now. Pop the Predator, got the slow. Scout on the side, looking for the Vanguard's edge. Found it. And now Xiaopeng trying to poke out from the side. Changhong taking a lot of damage, and SinoDragons, their amazing early game. Shut down the first blood from Clearlove with the cast dunk.
I think they were trying to get the predict on a Changhong, but either way, they get the kill on top of Xiaopeng. Man, that was all done because of Ray at the top lane. Like, Investigator Ray. Like, they took that, that dragon pretty easily. He had a good idea that the side laners are, if the adjacent lanes are in laning phase, that just means that Xiaopeng is doing this one alone. Did the dirty work, got in there, and knew that he had the kill range. No mana there from Xiaopeng, and he had the smite to heal up. So smite and a heal up means that easy pickings there for Ray using his passive to get the Rift Herald, and he's a fight in the bottom lane.
That's going to be iBoy dead already. Great combo there from the bottom lane of SinoDragons. They'll be able to pick up the opposing AD carry, but they just lost the Rift Herald. They just lost the Infernal Drake. This is not enough to make up for that loss just yet. It's
just, you always have to play discipline. No matter the wins that you have, the W's you pick up in the bottom side of the map, you always have to recognize that Mark can just go in on you. So we didn't get to see the right at the beginning of it, but seeing that double summoners was used by the Rakan means that he was fairly confident that they can get the kill on towards iBoy before he used his flash.
Now Ray continuing the push onto Changhong here, and it's all about the top lane like you said, Raz. This time EDG coming out far ahead.
My God, Ray being able to recoup after that last game, hero mode. Now that means that Clearlove can start to go topside, challenge for his own Krugs. This was a big saving grace, but take a look at what happened here. It seems like iBoy was alone here, gets picked up by the ultimate from Rakan. So that was just a full use on resources, recognizing that Alistar wouldn't be able to come in and help soon enough.
Now Twila getting a little bit of poke put down there into the mid lane. Clearlove looking for the gank from the side, but it doesn't look like Twila's going to fall for it just yet. They'll have to make this a tower dive. Predator's been popped, flawless duet, not going to be used.
Nice minion wave coming through at the nick of time. Any later, and it would have just been an easy flash body slam here from Gragas, but good timing.
SinoDragons themselves looking for the roam now as well. They have markup here with Xiaopeng, and they're just going to duo clear out the vision as much as they can. Second dragon hasn't spawned yet, and 40 seconds left on the turret plating. SinoDragons could get more turret plating here in the bottom lane. It would do really well for them.
Yeah, and it would, like, the turret plating is nice. Being able to get to your second item a lot faster is always wonderful. Remember, what that also means, if they're able to take that bottom lane turret, swap side lanes, look for the mid lane turret a little bit easier. This composition that SinoDragons have, in a blink of an eye, can go quickly. And we're already starting to see that. Now SinoDragons are looking towards this bottom lane tower.
Another plating dropped. Just 10 seconds till the platings fall entirely, but SinoDragons have 4 members here. If they don't find anything, that's a lot of committal to get nothing done.
But they can just go straight back to the mid lane, and that's the whole kicker. For SinoDragon's composition, if they get the mid lane shove, then it sets up for this real oppressive. Oh my god.
Oh no, Xiaopeng caught between a rock and a hard place, or a cow and a fat man as it were, as he gets taken down. 2 deaths now, and they lose pressure on the bottom lane tower.
They were sticking on towards that play for a little bit too long. Not just because Alistar had the time to wrap around, but because like Aurelia had the full shove in the mid lane. That's actually a full wave cleared that Twila ended up losing in that matchup. So immediately going to just be turned on them. This tower should be picked up right here.
For that catch on the Xiaopeng, there's so much extra pressure here for EDG. And Twila's trying to poke out, but bless his heart, he just doesn't have enough damage, especially against 3 members of EDG and the Rip Herald. So they'll pick up the first tower here in the middle lane as Changhong tries to pressure into the top, but is not able to find it.
That's hard. Like the whole core of the composition SinoDragons had was to be able to poke underneath tower. They're trying to use it for the middle, for the bottom side of the map, but they could have easily had taken that bottom lane turret as is, and then rotated the dual lane mid lane and could have done the same thing. Losing mid lane tower is so damaging because that's an extra turret that you don't have right behind you when you're going for that mid lane push. Also means that EDG's engage composition around Gragas and Alistar is that much more effective, has a lot more space to work with. So we'll have to see as the game goes on, but you can already see as SinoDragons go straight back to the shove on the bottom side of the map. It's going to be on EDG to make the next call.
If they're able to pick up this Mountain Drake, it'll help them with that objective take as well. Already half health, and it doesn't look like ClearLove's in the area to respond, so this should be a pretty free takeout here for SinoDragons. To get them a little bit back for what they've lost, they still have a gold lead, it's worth noting, but they have lost so much pressure.
At least it was a Mountain Dragon. The composition that they had, chip on tower, is always beneficial. I do want to see what they end up going for right now, because next time, usually when we see SinoDragons having the Scion there, they try to make the best use out of it early on. Either go towards the top side as they're currently doing, play around Changhong's ultimate so he can start up the fight. You can already see Rakan moving into play. I'm worried now for either ClearLove or Ray, whoever's going to be the first person to face check into the Rakan. But they're playing respectfully. That's good. It's nice to see from EDG, because intel always comes through that SinoDragons, when they get the Scion pick, you already stated it, they have no control over Changhong. He just sees a play and he goes straight for it.
This time he's not going to be able to find one. He's rotated down into the bottom lane. SinoDragons try to get control in the macro. They've rotated the bottom lane up here, so should be able to get a lot of pressure onto this tower, especially with the Mountain Drake and the lead that has been accrued for GALA so far.
They're just going to try and rush this one. They have the push priority here. Changhong should be able to hold the bottom lane wave as it comes into the inner turret, so it's going to be EDG that has to act quickly and try to move for mid lane so they don't lose the most out of it. Because take a look at this. SinoDragons are just going to keep pushing if they're being given the opportunity by EDG.
SinoDragons get the inner tower in the top lane as well, and
they ain't stopping. No, they're
yeah,
going to stop.
Changhong even stole the Krug down in the bottom lane away from ClearLove too, so they're getting little wins back on the map. Now 1K gold still at this point. Xiaopeng might get spotted out here. EDG are looking for a pick.
That was a great ward from SinoDragons. Knowing that there was a control ward being placed there rather early on means that they're confident that they know where EDG is. Oh, digging in pretty deep.
Looking for the pick on the Ray. Should be able to find it. There's the ult. There's the E from GALA, securing the kill. 1-0-1 now on the Xayah. And that was the freest pick I have ever seen happen in the LPL.
If you are smart enough, patient enough, be able to just wrap around the red side jungle and have that level of vision control, you can get anything you want. Well played from SinoDragons to be able to pick that one up with marks engaged, and now they can try and look for this.
Now we're seeing one of the many reasons this composition works as well. That poke that was threatened and put out onto EDG from Twila and Xiaopeng makes staying behind a tower so scary for EDG.
Yeah, I think that if you're looking at EDG, when they had Ray up and available, then he could play front to back and they can have Twila wrap around for a possible engage. They don't have that anymore. So it seems like Meiko's trying to make up for that. Here we go.
Here's the Hex Flash. Meiko finds it onto Twila and Changhong, but they're still going to be alive. Scout finds the Vanguard's edge. Changhong makes it out alive. And now GALA, oh my god, that was a ton of damage in the root. iBoy's down as well. Scout falls, the shutdown onto ClearLove. And SinoDragons, 4 members remaining versus the 2 of EDG. Can they find Ray before he takes anyone else out? They can. The triple kill for Changhong. Scion coming in a huge way.
No way to pincer through the Changhong. Literally the Scion standing firm, and they try to get on towards GALA, No way to be able to do that. He used both of his sums, ultimate and all, and he's, oh no, Meiko, what are you doing, son?
Dying, man. He's dying. He's getting EDG ace.
Extra turret being taken. Also remember, the Baron is coming up in a minute's time. SinoDragons now have so much of the top side of the map. So much gold now on the biggest man in Sion. They should just pick every fight possible. They know they have front line, and it was all because of this. The Meiko headbutt pulverize is nice, but take a look at who the intent was. Trying to get onto Twila, who flashes out immediately, so they don't have access to him. They try to get straight towards GALA, but he had so much space being created there. You see Changhong going straight into it because they already see that the Gragas has already failed its primary mission. It was already pretty damn low too, so at this point they were just picking up the kills that were available. I think EDG were in full desperation mode when the Alistar headbutt pulverized hit, but Jace had already flashed away, so who your target now?
Now we're seeing the strength of Changhong's build coming in as well. That Locket does so much for his team. He's so good at using it. He's also building towards the Sterix, giving him a little bit more tankiness. And has the Bramble Vest as well. But more importantly, when you look at SinoDragon's builds, that's the Lich Bane on the Nidalee already. If Xiaopeng finds anyone, ooh.
It's literally just tank in damage, right? If you're looking towards Xiaopeng, yeah, you're going straight into the damage front. It's getting the best out of it. There is no tanky lineup here on EDG's side. So if we're just looking towards Clearlove and towards Meiko, they're so far behind, they're not going to have the necessary HP to be able to deal with that. And then on the side of Sion, a lot of times you look towards the Sion players like, why have you been lacking in the Iron Solari, right? That is so selfless. You're actually losing so much effective stats that you can be going for if you were to pick up an Iceborne Gauntlet, a Frozen Heart. All of these picks that would be nice, especially up against a heavy, like, Vayne and Aurelia composition that you're trying to deal with. But remember, Locket of the Iron Solari gives you 20%, bonus HP off the shield if you have, of course, where he would usually go towards, which is the Warmogs, the Gargle Stone Plate. So I want to see what his next item is, because at this point he can do whatever he wants. Like, he can go heavy in the damage tree, and EDG would have to respect it no matter what.
Changhong absolutely monstrous on the Sion, but that's no surprise. You let him have it, you give him a composition where he can pick it. He'll do it 100% of the time, and you will suffer for it, as EDG are quickly learning. At the very least, Scout has his Trinity Force, so he's starting to build up a little bit, but iBoy still only has the Blade of the Ruined King, just picked up the Ginsu's Rage Blade, so now 2 items versus the almost 3 of GALA, and everyone on EDG is suffering a lack of gold at the moment.
It's just insane to be able to look at the series and see an entire team of rookies from the LDL against a team that's went to Worlds last year, went into knockout stage, and lost to the eventual finalists. Like, that is insane from EDG to be able to lose to a team that is just that confident in their own ability, right? You even said it, right? They went out there, Xiaopeng said, welcome to the LDL. The fact that they had so much confidence in their own abilities and how they've been able to play out a lot of these team fights during the regular season, it's been coming into fruition, and they're in position to be able to take down EDG.
And they've showed a lot of skill here, too, in this series so far. We didn't really expect them to be able to pull off the composition game 1, and this one, while it is closer to their norm, is still looking really impressive.
And this is the reason for all of it. Whenever they have a strong enough advantage, if the observer turns the lights off, you don't see anything from EDG's side. The strong vision control that really EDG can't do much to take them away. And here we go.
Free pickoff there for SinoDragons. Mark so good on these engaged supports. And now that's going to be looking to be the Baron take. Xiaopeng has the attack speed for himself and his AD carry. Already half health on the Baron. EDG are nowhere to contest. Clearlove isn't even in the same area code as this Baron, but can it be stolen? No, Xiaopeng secures it, nearly takes out Ray, ignites, taking the heal. Not enough to save him, because Xiaopeng and Twila are there. There's the engage from Changhong, and SinoDragon's looking to end it all right here. The spear lands, but that flawless duet from Scout, living up to its name, catching 3 and stopping EDG from getting aced.
Yeah, it stops them, it slows them. But man, SinoDragons are turning it on right now. The fact that they saw one moment, Clearlove walking up. Now, he didn't have flash just yet. He was very close to being able to pick it up for him. But even if he did, man, he just gets bursted down while Rakan had him up in the air. Just in that instant, EDG had lost everything. This could be the game now if SinoDragons wanted to push for it, because you already see iBoy was fairly low. You could have gone in for another engage. They've done that in the past, but they're going to play this one safe.
I like them playing the safe, slower controlled style, especially because SinoDragons and rookie teams in general, you'll see they're like, okay, we've got this massive lead. Even last game we saw it, where they're like, okay, cool, we've got a lead. Oh, we threw it a little bit.
Yep.
This time, they're not going to let that happen.
So look at how quickly he just gets bursted, because with so much control here, even the ward that Mark ends up placing there, ClearLove sees it, thinks I can take it up, dies instantly. Now, anyone would be asking the question of why would you go up and be able to clear that ward when Meiko wasn't near you, when Ray was actually patting topside. So it was just more so in terms of timing, it was a poor call. And of course you already see him, if you're blinking that low, they're not going to leave it to the last ignite proc. He just flashes over the wall just in case.
It's just really absolutely insane from SinoDragons at this point. If you ask, I mean, Raz,
what's up?
We're looking at a potential situation where everyone gets their predictions wrong for the round 1 of playoffs.
Look, I'm okay with that. If that means that we're seeing unexpected plays come through, like JDG, like a team that's done so successfully in the past split, start to recover and actually find strength within Lumao and Imp's lane. And then in SinoDragons, the fact that they could possibly take down EDG that we're just a week away. Like just a week ago, they were close to being able to tap down Victus Gaming, so it's huge to be able to see this level of growth. We'll see if EDG can stop this from happening.
SinoDragons get another inhibitor tower, and it looks to be an easy inhibitor for them as well, and they're just going to rotate around at this point, not going to push it to the Nexus tower just yet. They have the potential to push towards the top lane. That wave is building up mighty quick.
Yeah, it's looking good. You're already seeing the members starting to rotate in that direction. You have good waves. Right now, bottom side wave is starting to crash in. That just means that EDG has to tend to it. That means that, you know, timing, trying to stop that top lane from coming in, they're just going to lose a lot of damage on this turret. I wonder if they're able to actually protect this.
SinoDragons 50 seconds remaining on the Baron buff, so they have time to try and take this. Already have Changhong getting pushed away at this point. The Sterix has been blown, but here he comes with the ultimate choo-choo. Not going to be able to find it just yet, but that inhibitor quickly losing health from the side of SinoDragon. Might be able to get the third inhibitor. There it is, but they might just push for the game at this point. They have all 3 waves here with the Baron. The base coming in from Changhong with a teleport.
Yeah, just going to TP right back in there. What can you do, EDG? They have to start the fight right now.
Nexus towers both down. ClearLove goes in for the engage, but immediately deleted. Ray as well can't find anything. Meiko gets the knockups, but EDG are getting absolutely destroyed. The double kill comes in from GALA. The follow-up, that's going to be the triple. Can he make it the quadra? Xiaopeng steals it away, but it doesn't matter because SinoDragons have taken the series to 2-0 against EDG.
One more game, and EDG send packing. That's how close we are now. No one would have expected this. Like, after game 1, you say, okay, bring ClearLove back in, deal with the drafts of the early games in order. And to be fair to EDG, that's what happened. Like, I'm looking at the mid lane, and I'm saying that it's much better position. Same happened towards the top lane. But ClearLove got ran around by Xiaopeng. So now we're in a position where Xiaopeng gets MVP in game 1. I'm almost certain that he's going to be picking up MVP in game 2. It's just a pure jungle difference. Like, game 1, like, Haro got turned around. Smite steal on Baron buff, and in game 2, like, ClearLove was 2 levels behind in the jungle early on. I don't know how EDG is going to be able to help this one out if they don't deal with how Xiaopeng's been able to play this one out early.
It's absolutely insane because I didn't expect it coming into this split. And I've been reading a lot of interviews. I like to do it. It's a lot of fun. And Xiaopeng always has this attitude, and every transcript, every video I see has this sort of cocky attitude from him. And at some point, it's just like, come on, man. You're just out of the LDL. Can you back that up? And today we're learning, yeah, he can back it up, going toe-to-toe with not only Haro, but ClearLove as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think whenever you hear from the players, like, for instance, Knight, he has a lot of confidence in Xiaopeng. He says that he actually do accuse with him a little bit. So, like, that, quite frequently. So, like, that in and of itself shows to the fact that they know that he can carry in solo queue, and he's doing quite well for him right now. We're just looking at the compositions and how SinoDragons were able to make that happen. I actually feel for ClearLove in that game, because a lot of people, when they look at jungle differences in that situation, they're like, well, what was, you know, Gragas got run around, experience difference there, like, he was useless up until the bottom lane started working out for himself, but, like, legitimately, mid lane and top lane pushing out. What do you do as a Gragas if not only you had a bad jungle matchup, but Scouts getting pushed into tower and getting bullied? He was actually at half HP as the invade was helping it going into his red side jungle. But at the same time, top lane was also on this similar path. So SinoDragon's just completely focusing on their top side of the map, and EDG are just giving it away. So right back in the draft, I need to see mid lane push. Like, I need to be able to see Lissandra, something which can help out mid lane early on. Perhaps a Yasuo if he gets his hand on it. I'm just saying legitimately, like, counter pick for Scout if he's on red side that frequently.
At this point, it's reminding me a little bit of Gigabyte Marines from their first World Story. I know, but hear me out. Hear me out a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. When Gigabyte Marines came into the Worlds, we had very little expectations. I'd almost say none. Just globally, everyone was like, all right.
Go forward.
Levi's pretty good, but I guess. And then they came out with strategy after strategy. Eventually it did get shut down, but they kept having these innovative ways to play that teams just weren't expecting, and they weren't getting the respect against them because you can't scout them. Yes, SinoDragons aren't going that wild into the bushes. They're not doing like Ignite, Heal, Lulu, but they are coming in with new ways to play that it doesn't seem like EDG are prepared for.
Game 1, sure. Game 1 was a complete, like, throwing, like, essentially anything they could into the Wayne, and that worked out well for them. But Game 2, you've been seeing this composition consistently from SinoDragon. So it's a lot of it just coming down to SinoDragons. You have to respect the way they play, and they've been playing really well around their vision controls. So this is just standard League of Legends 101 that EDG is losing to.
At this point, you have one crazy game. You have one standard game. The question remains, can SinoDragons take a third for one of the biggest upsets in LPL history? We're going to find out when we get back into game number 3 in just a few minutes.